Oh, Troy, I see you have some Ant-Man merch there. Wow, must have cost you quite a bit. Well, I think that is nothing compared to the Ant-Man merch that I have. Did you expect that? Huh?
What Ant-Man merch is it? I don't see it.
You're very... All right, you ready for this?
This better be
In my
good.
palm, I hold the entire quantum realm. See that? Look at it. It's a bit small, but it's there.
I hoped you weren't going to do that joke, and you still did it.
Cost me 40 quid, this.
Audio listeners, he's holding out his empty palm. Get it? Because the quantum realm's really small.
It's quite small.
It's really small. I hate everything. Let's get this over with.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Who Shrunk, an Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania podcast, a show where two YouTubers get together and talk about the smallest superhero in all of time and space, Ant-Man. I'm your host, Troy Austin, has been out live trying not to laugh at my own joke because I can see Crispy struggling. Who's my co-host, Crispy Pro? How are you doing there, buddy?
I'm great. I'm shocked at how well you did that intro. That was very well done, Troy.
Yeah,
very well done. How are you?
Definitely did it on the first try. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm good, man. I'm good. You know, I'm desperate to talk about The Last of Us episode 6, but that's a different special episode.
That's a separate episode entirely. Is that at least 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks to go?
3 weeks to go until that happens, yeah. Because there's 3 more episodes.
Crikey.
Well, 4 more for you, because you haven't even watched episode 6 yet.
Shh, spoilers.
Can't believe that Shrek showed up.
No! Don't say that!
Well, you spoiled that for me last time, so there we go. But yeah, so I thought we'd do a little special episode, because we haven't done one since... I don't actually know. When did the Wakanda one come out? November. Wakanda in November. 3 months ago, mate. 3 months ago.
Thank goodness Marvel are spacing these things out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Talk about the Marvels.
Anyway, stop it. Why'd you have to rub that in immediately? You know that's a sensitive subject.
I know.
Going off topic immediately, how many times has the Marvels actually been delayed? I need to know. I think it's been like 4 times now. It's going to break my heart. How many times do you think?
Look, give them more time. Finish the visuals, get rid of the scenes that don't matter, include the scenes that do. It could be a good thing, Troy.
It's been moved 4 times.
Nothing compared to Morbius. Did you see how many times that got moved?
That got moved 3 or 4 times as well, to be fair.
That was way more than 4. I'm pretty sure it was 5 or 6 times that got moved.
Okay, all right. Yeah, welcome to the Ant-Man podcast, where we look at Morbius and the Marvel release dates.
Correct.
Let's see. Morbius was released on April 1st, 2022, originally set for July 2020, then moved 3 weeks later, then to March 2021, then to October 2021, then to January 2022, before moving to January 28th, and then March. So it was moved 6 times, but 2 of them were just by a few weeks. So 4 big moves and 2 small moves. So it's technically still not Marvels, but that's crazy. But yeah, so the Marvels was meant to release first off on July 8th, 2022, then November 11th, 2022, then February 17th, 2023, where Quantumania now released, then July 28th, 2023, and now November 10th, 2023. So, it's clearly just sexism, because it's the first all-female team-up superhero film, and they keep moving it, and I don't appreciate it. No, seriously.
And they are trying to
space things out. It's an interesting conversation for a bit later on, I think, maybe. But right now,
yeah, for sure,
we should focus on this film for the pops that I have behind me. Because I can't
focus on the
help
little
myself.
guy, huh?
Focus on the lookout for the little guy. Which, by the way, did you actually know that book is a real book?
No, it's not. Is it?
That's the first thing we're going to talk about, yes, because I feel like some people also haven't seen this. So this is going to be a full spoilers episode for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Yeah. We will go into spoilers in a minute, so you want to hear our general thoughts, we'll give them first, so you can hear those and then move on if you want to. But I will just say, it's not a huge spoiler. At the start of the film, Ant-Man's promoting this book he's written, or Scott Lang's written, called Look Out for the Little Guy. And they did a video about 2 or 3 months ago on Marvel's YouTube channel, 2 or 3 weeks, saying that they've actually made the book into a real thing, as if it was written by Scott Lang, and you can pre-order it on Amazon. And I have. It doesn't release till September or something, but yeah, it's a real thing.
Far away.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty wild, though. What if they just said that by accident, and then everyone's like, "Oh, that's so cool," and they're like, "Okay, we'll just put the pre-order date, and we'll give ourselves a couple months to get together."
Let me check when it comes out. And while I do, Crispy, let's give our overall thoughts for the people who haven't seen the film yet, because by the time this comes out, the film will have only been out for 5 days, so we're a bit more finger on the pulse this time. So I'm proud of us.
Definitely.
I'm proud of us.
Definitely.
So what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? And the book releases Tuesday, 5th of September, 2023. So yeah, there's a while off, but
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. What a fun time that was. I went to the red carpet premiere, as I do for these kinds of things. Troy always says, "Oh, make sure you see the film. Make sure you see the film." I was like, "Oh, I'll see it." Boom, I see it a couple days early on the red carpet with a beer in hand, having a grand old time. But the actual film itself, I think I texted this to you, Troy. I was like, that first half, I couldn't fault it. I was having so much fun. I was loving the quantum realm, loving the world building they were doing. I was laughing. I was like, oh yeah, this is a fun time. Kang's threatening as heck. I love what they're doing. But the second half, I think it lets itself down a little bit. It's still a fun time overall, but I think if it kept up the consistency of that first half for me, it'd probably be up there in my top 5 MCU, but I think it definitely dropped the ball down the bottom there. But Troy,
it's so interesting
your
because I
thoughts?
have the complete opposite view.
You are joking.
I really liked the first half, but the interesting thing about this film, and again, I'm trying to not to dice into spoilers before we go into things, but is it weird that I feel like this film didn't follow like a traditional 3-act structure? Because
elaborate.
I can't. Do you know what? We'll just go into spoilers. But I will say I also really like the film, and I can't recommend it enough. I would give it. What would you give it out of 10 before I get into it? Like, I'm thinking about an 8, 7 or 8.
I'm gonna go a 6.5.
Oh wow! The second half really let you down, huh?
It really let me down. It let me down.
The way you worded it was kind of like second half wasn't quite as good, but it was still fun overall. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a 7 or an 8. But no, 6.5.
No,
All right.
well, it's just below a 7. I think. Yeah.
But yeah, no. Well, to go straight into spoilers, then I don't feel like the structure of the film was typical 3-act because they're in the quantum realm relatively quickly, but they spend a lot of time building up to Kang even showing up. They don't even mention his name for like the first 40, 50 minutes. It's always the Conqueror. I actually know he's Kang for ages. And I thought the main plot of the movie, like the Act 2, would all be Scott helping Kang. Act 1 would be them getting into the quantum realm, then meeting Kang. Act 2 would be him helping Kang. Act 3 betrays him. They have a fight. Ant-Man wins or dies, as everyone else was trying to suggest. That was it. But the section of him helping Kang, that must have been done inside of 10 minutes, right?
Where they actually had the heist of the
the ship core, yeah.
Yeah, that was over pretty quickly, and I will agree with you there. I thought that's where the film was going. We'd spend a bit more time with that, build the relationship between Kang and Lang.
Kang and Lang, nice.
Kang and Lang. But alas, yeah, that bit was over relatively quickly, and then we had this third act that I really was not a fan of. But there you go.
It's crazy. This is honestly crazy. No, so like
that's cool.
It felt
Makes
different.
a good discussion.
It felt different, but I really liked it because it felt like I didn't really know where it was going. So I thought, where? I know Scott has like a deal with Kang. I've seen it in the trailer. Which, by the way, that second trailer that really did spoil a lot. Like I was quite surprised by how much of the game it gave away. I don't dislike it for that. Just remember, because like I've said, that I love watching Blind Wave, and if they've literally had to tweet out and go, "We've been told not to watch the Quantumania trailer because of spoilers. We're just going to watch the film." It's like, yeah, maybe they really have pushed it a bit much. But it was a great trailer. Don't get me wrong. Plus, everyone was already making jokes. They saw that one photo of Jonathan Majors topless. I think it was on the set of Creed, and they were like, "Wow, Ant-Man doesn't stand a chance." Scott's getting crushed under his boot. So like they played it up in the trailer because everyone was thinking it anyway. Kang the Conqueror versus Ant-Man. How's that going to work? But I really, really liked it because they actually made it look like Scott could semi-hold his own against Kang, which is no mean feat.
That bit was legendary. I loved all that choreography, and I feel like Marvel, by now, I feel like they've established, like, yes, Ant-Man and everything, it's a little bit goofy. The whole thing's a little bit goofy, but they play it off so well. The action sequences are very, very cool. And and you see Kang absolutely like obliterate Scott Lang. Boom, boom. You're like, he's not going to win this fight. But spoilers, he does in the end. But it's a very convincing fight. I loved that bit. I absolutely loved that bit. It was everything that was happening outside of that I was really not that big a fan of.
So what, like the MODOK stuff?
No, MODOK, I was fine. MODOK was a bit of comic relief. That was hilarious. I kind of wish I didn't know that he was going to be in there because I like Have you watched the animated series on Disney?
Which one?
I don't know. I didn't know there were
Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes?
No, the MODOK show.
Oh, the actual... Oh, no, I haven't.
Oh, I find that quite funny. I was like, oh, this will be fun, and yeah, I thought MODOK's inclusion was fine. He died.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
No, it's tough because like I said, I watched that Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is also on Disney Plus. But I don't know whether you watch it now. But like that's how I know about Kang. It's how I knew about MODOK. It's why I want Secret Invasion to be like wants it to be the next big thing for Marvel. Like a lot of what I got from Marvel as a kid was from that show. That was like my first big interaction with it before the MCU. So, like, I knew who MODOK was going into it. I think they handled him really well, although I wonder if in the second half of the film it was played up a bit too much of a joke about it being Darren, and, like, you know, that he was, you know, a clever dick films, shall we say.
A clever dick film. Yeah, nice. I was trying to figure out how you were going to say that. Yeah, good.
And that bit, I liked it, but it also, I wasn't sure if I liked that they spent a lot of time on that. But the problem is with the MCU, and I think it's what people forget sometimes, there's only so many shows and films they can do, and as a result, there's only so many villains that you can have that will take the forefront of the show. So sometimes you're going to get a villain that you might think deserves more screen time that just appears and isn't as big. Like, that will happen, and it's happened before, and it will no doubt happen again, you know, and MODOK is just a victim of that, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because, you know, I was dead excited seeing him show up, like, just the whole section of him, like, just destroying everything was really, really good, and they did a really good job of showing him. Didn't need to see his bare backside, but that's beside the point.
That was hilarious. That was some Deadpool nonsense.
I have to say, and not just of MODOK, but I think the CGI in this film was really, really strong. Is that just me?
No, it's not. I enjoyed a lot of the sequences in this film. I really enjoyed the heist sequence with all of the Scott Langs. I love the trippy visuals and that. You know, I'm a sucker for those, you know, Doctor Strange-esque trippy visuals. I love that, and I thought they made the Quantum Realm look great. I thought some of the creature design was brilliant, character design was brilliant. So no, I think it is a visually striking film. Absolutely. I thought it looked great. I loved the way that Kang looked. I thought they made him look really, really good, especially with the blue or without the blue.
Yeah.
Do you not like the way Kang looked?
The way Kang looked was so good. It was so good.
Brill.
It was so good, man. No, because just sticking with the CGI, and obviously that I'm not someone who's had a big problem with the CGI in recent years. There's a lot of people who freak out when they realise one shot had a green screen behind it, or blah, blah, blah. There's a couple of shots I know in Doctor Strange people have picked out, in Doctor Strange 2, sorry. They're a bit wonky, and having seen them again, I'm like, okay, fine, I get it. But most of the time, I don't have as big of an issue with the CGI as other people do. However, I will say in this film, I noticed how good it was. And I was like...
Comparatively.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of portraying like the Quantum Realm and that kind of stuff, and just the visuals of it were really, really, really strong. But Kang, baby. Yeah. Oh
my gosh.
Got to talk about Kang for a little bit. He's
great villain.
Jonathan
knowing
Majors,
that he was
any
day of the week.
Because I mean, when was he announced as being cast as Kang? Like years ago.
A while ago.
Right? Like it's been a while. We knew a while before even Loki, because that's why some people started to guess that he might have popped up at the end of Loki, and lo and behold, he did.
Yeah.
But I just, like I said, Kang was a pretty big villain in the Avengers: Mightiest Heroes. He wasn't like, you know, a big season finale one, but he was one who popped up quite a few times. I had a bit of an idea of what he was like. He's obviously got blue skin in that, and I think he's got blue skin just generally.
Yeah.
So they've tried to incorporate that into the film without having to make Jonathan Majors wear blue skin constantly. Sorry, Karen Gillan.
Exactly.
But she didn't get that privilege, did she?
No, she did not.
But I love the way they did his little helmet, and then therefore like the visor of it is blue to try and make it a bit of a callback to him. But the costume is amazing. Clever. But Jonathan Majors' performance, like the chills of him being like, "You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before?" And it's like a genuine... It's not even like a little bit of a joke. He's like, I genuinely don't even know, mate. I've killed so many Avengers. Like, are you one of them? You could well be. I've got a blooming clue. Like that. Like, it was such like a nonchalant but really threatening way to ask the question. I was like...
It's very genuine.
Yeah.
Like, the man doesn't care. He's lived quite the life. Many a life. And that's just the way he is, and it's very eerie hearing the way he like portrays himself and delivers those lines. I mean, they couldn't have cast it better, in my opinion.
They absolutely couldn't. He's a phenomenal casting, and his performance is just, it's top tier. But the thing is, we knew this. I think that's what's so good. We knew this from Loki. So, like, I knew going into this film, there was no doubt in my mind as to how good he would be as Kang, because we'd already seen him do He Who Remains, which is like this kind of, you know, older Kang that had lived through everything and had settled as a big ruler who was still a bad guy, but was like, you know, more of just someone who looked over everything. So, like, I was excited to see a bit more of an unhinged warrior type Kang, and his performance was just, it was easily the best thing. It's, you know, some of the critics are really bashing on this film. Some people are saying it's really good. I think this one, I've said this before, Rotten Tomatoes scores, and to me, are nothing more than just an interesting metric. The way that people use it to judge their own opinions of the film, I think, is stupid. It's like people who watch Anthony Fantano Needle Drop, and like, you know, you ever seen those clips where like he's in his live stream, like listening to a new song, and everyone in the chat's going, "Oh, this song's really good. I really like it." And then Anthony goes, "It's not very good." And then all of a sudden, the entire chat goes, "Yeah, this song mid as hell. I hate this song." Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, just have your own opinion, man.
On it.
It's the same kind of thing with this. You see people go, "Wow, Rotten Tomatoes, Quantumania. Really, the ratings are not good. Therefore, film bad." And it's like, watch it yourself. Get an opinion, then go from there. Then go from there. But interestingly enough, let me check the scores because I believe there's a massive gap between audience and critic.
I think it's 49 or 84 or something.
It's 47% critic score, 84% audience score. Yeah. So intriguing. Let's see what the critics' consensus is on Rotten Tomatoes out of interest. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania mostly lacks the spark of fun that elevated earlier adventures, but Jonathan Majors Kang is a thrilling villain poised to alter the course of the MCU.
Fair enough.
So basically, film bad, Kang good.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot in many different forms.
Yeah, the thing I will say is, as an Ant-Man film, I don't think it quite has the same vibe as the previous two, for a couple of reasons. No. I mean, the three ex-cons are not there. T.I., David Dastmalchian, and Michael Pena, Luis. I was very upset that we didn't get another one of Luis's, like, I'm going to talk very quickly, dubbing over everyone else scenes.
And then the drums.
Yeah, and the drums. Like, I'm sad we missed out on that. Although David Dastmalchian was in the film, he voiced the guy who was like, I have no holes, you know?
Yeah, so hilarious. Great gag as well.
I liked that gag. That was good. I love that scene of him going, how many holes has he got? 7, and then like he literally sits there and counts them and goes, yeah, that's right, I've got 7. Yeah. Like, that's a great little scene.
Yeah, because you would do the same. You're like, wait.
Yeah, I'm not explaining what holes. He's a dude, you can work it out. But there's definitely someone who didn't clock that now and is like, but there was that. And also, like, I did notice there wasn't really an arc for the Wasp. Like, it was Ant-Man and the Wasp, but it felt like she was way more of a supporting character. Like, it would have been more accurate to have been Ant-Man and Cassie Quantumania. Do you know what I mean?
I honestly think they would have gotten away with calling it Ant-Man Quantumania.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know why they necessarily felt the need to attach the Wasp. I understand, like, you know, it's the comics or whatever, and the Wasp is in the film. But I think the entire plot would have worked just fine if that character had been written out, but there would have been an uproar, but whatever.
Yeah, because obviously, you know, if you make the second one Ant-Man the Wasp, and then the third one you go back to Ant-Man, they're like, you know.
Well, not necessarily. If there was a Hobbs and Shaw, and then we just got a Shaw movie, everyone would be like, sure, for sure. You know?
Different, isn't it, when she was the first... There was the first MCU film to come out with a feminine superhero in the title.
True, okay.
She was the first feminine in the title, so it would be a bit of a backtrack, possibly. But also, like, are they really going to afford the time to make a Wasp film, if we're being real here? I'd love to eat my words if, like, 6 months down the line, Kevin Feige goes, the Wasp TV series, but I highly doubt that's a thing they're planning.
No, I very much doubt. I think that whole section's done.
It's like the Drax situation, right? Dave Bautista kept campaigning, being like, you know, Drax should have his own film, and it's like, much as I love Drax, I don't know if I could watch...
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen anyway. As much as I love Dave Bautista, which, by the way, Knock at the Cabin, great film. Very good film. Yeah. Dave Bautista is great in that. Need to watch it. Dave Bautista is very good. But, like, there's some characters that just won't get their own TV shows and films, so she's in there. But also, there's a big tie-in with their parents, right, with Janet and Hank. Like, Hank didn't have as much to do for a good portion of the film, but I loved him showing up at the end with all the ants. That was a great moment.
This is where you and I differ, my friend.
Mate, come on.
This is where you and I differ, my friend.
Oh.
I could see that coming from a mile away.
Really?
And
I completely forgot.
They set it up like every now and then he'd be like, "Oh, I need to check my. I can hear my little ant friends because they came in the in the quantum realm with me," and I just didn't like the end. I did not enjoy the whole ant coming onto the and beating Kang. A bunch of ants beat Kang. I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah, but look out for the little guy, man. You know, it's the little guy that wins. It's the underdog. I love that metaphor. But this is especially for my mum, who I know will be listening to this probably on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning. My mum lent over to me. But we didn't watch the first 2 Ant-Man films before Quantumania. We planned to and didn't get time to. And I said to him we should try and do that before we watch it again.
Rewatch them?
Yeah, because I want to rewatch them before the film, so I think we'll probably try and do that before we see it again, because I want to watch it in IMAX. Wasn't able to first time around because our IMAX booking got cancelled, so that's fun.
Weird.
But yeah, it was odd. But my mum leant over and she went, "Has Michael Douglas got a hearing aid in?" And I was like, "Yeah, I think he does. I've been looking at that and I was thinking, we both have clearly completely forgotten that was the earpiece for him to communicate with ants. So we were like, that's a hearing aid. And then later on, he was on his, I was like, oh, it's how he's talking to the ants. Like, I'd completely forgotten that. And I was like, okay, cool. Then he was like, we got to plan with the ants. And then that went by the wayside in my brain. And then he shut up with all the ants. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's a really good little mini arc for Hank. I love that. So maybe not watching the two films previously made me enjoy it more. I don't know. But I don't know. I loved it. I loved Ant-Man showing up as Giant Man. Like, that's my favourite Giant Man scene. I know everyone loves the Civil War airport scene where he goes massive. I think this trumps that. I love, like, Kang thinking he's won and hearing those footsteps and us being like, is it a giant ant? Like, what's coming? And then it's him stood on the walls going Kang and then smashing through everything. Like, that's what I'm saying about, like, doing a good way of putting Scott against Kang, who really should not be able to work his own, like, having a moment like that. And also getting chucked at the giant barrier by Wasp and then going massive. Like, they did some creative stuff with, like, Ant-Giant Man, abilities to fight Kang, and they did some really interesting stuff there. So,
no,
I thought that was
good.
I
agree with you on that front. I agree with you on that front.
This is interesting, because it's just like, because this is the way you don't like the second half as much as I do, and then vice versa, the first half.
Not even the second half necessarily. I think it is the third act. I think it was, the moment they introduced the ants, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going to happen. And then Cassie's like getting on the Star Wars intercom, being like, "Come on, everyone, we got to band together and do this." And I was like, all right, come on. I didn't necessarily enjoy Cassie Lang in this film. I will throw that out there right now. Yeah, I don't. She was one of those characters that was very much like, I'm going to do what I want. I understand that, Scott was a criminal, but I don't think they necessarily did put the right things in place to give her, like, a redemption. I don't know. Maybe I just found her a little bit annoying, and her attempted redemption, I didn't necessarily feel like it was earned. I don't know. Maybe that's a hot take, but I didn't necessarily enjoy that aspect of the film. But I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Do you know what's
throwing that in there?
That's the thing. And the one thing I will say is I'm still not a fan of the way that they recast Cassie. Not necessarily that they replaced her, because sometimes these things happen. But the actress Emma Thurman, or Fjorman, I'm not quite sure how you say her surname, she was not told. She found out Cassie had been recast via social media like everybody else. That's a bit... I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all.
I'm not a fan of that either.
So I want to acknowledge that. However, I will say I actually thought that Catherine Newton was fantastic as Cassie. I really liked her energy. I love the idea that she's grown up to be this superhero looking out for people who are disadvantaged, the way that, like, she saw her dad, her world's greatest grandma doing as Ant-Man. And I kind of like... I know it's a bit of a weird arc for Scott that he's gone back to, this isn't our fight, to then this is our fight. But I kind of like the idea that, after Endgame, he's kicked his feet up a little bit. He's like, I've saved the universe,
Yeah,
because
I
of
love
me,
that.
we saved everything. What else can I do? I'm going to, just talk about it and stuff now. And I like that the daughter that he inspired is the person that inspires him back into doing it again. I love that kind of dynamic between the two. And that's why I'm saying I feel like it'd be a much better thing to just be Ant-Man and Cassie Quantumania, because I thought their dynamic worked really, really well. I thought her energy was really cool. I think she held her own quite well. She has that kind of sassy nature that Cassie had as a kid. Like, the problem is we can't judge Emma's performance from Endgame because literally all she said was dad. Like, I can't judge how she'd have portrayed any other scene. I have no idea, But I thought Catherine Newton played her fantastically. Really, really enjoyed her. And I think their dynamic as a father and daughter was really believable. And I love the energy. I think the speech over the intercom was very Star Wars-esque. But to be fair, I think my mum said it to me during the cinema. I saw someone else saying it on Twitter. Like, the movie did have a bit of a Star Wars vibe from, like, the alien bar, all different creatures that's stuff. Like,
that wasn't my problem with the connection to Star Wars. My problem was just the cliched nature of it. But you saying that right now has made me realize what my problem was.
With
the whole thing. Because I very much sympathized with Scott at the start, just wanting to kick his feet up. and not do it. I think I'm just a lazy person.
It's what I want to do when we finish, a year of the podcast, to kick my feet up for a month.
Exactly. So, when I had this, Cassie yapping away, being like, no, you still got to do your stuff. I'm like, for God, he's saved the universe. Let him just chill for it. It's your fault we're in the quantum realm right now.
Yeah.
I think I saw a bit of myself in Scott, and I just wanted to relax and read books to people. I think that's my problem.
And I like that Cassie
film.
brought him back in. Because like I said, some people have been saying, it's a repetitive arc for Scott. He's more of a selfish person, then he becomes a hero. But while it does seem a bit of a callback to the first film, his arc in that, I do think it is a more unique thing. It's not like he's being a selfish person in that state. He's more like, he's a bit like Captain America. He's like, I've earned a bit of time off. I want a bit of time off. And,
absolutely.
He still wants to help people, but in his own way. And he's more interested in looking after Cassie and making sure she uses the powers well. He's like, don't use the suit when I'm not around, and she is. And I like the idea that they've been working behind his back, hit her, Hank and
that was fun.
And that moment where he's
all
in
the first half, loved it. Loved it. But it was Hank, the Wasp, and Cassie at the start, right? Those were the three tinkering away, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Hank and what's the Wasp's real
Hope.
Hope. I feel like Hank and Hope very underutilized in this film. Those two individuals, absolutely, as we were saying before.
Hank had more to do than Hope, which is a little bit weird.
Considering, Wasp
was
learning
to fly the ship and the ant section, whereas Hope had a cool moment in the bar fighting everybody that I really liked. That was a cool Wasp moment, and then also her sweeping in to save Scott in the heist section.
Nice.
But
that was really
beyond
nice.
that, there wasn't really much else of note for the Wasp, which was a real shame because I really liked her in this. I thought she was really good, but we didn't see much of her, and that kind of disappoints me.
I think what would have fixed the film for me if it was just
James Corden,
Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Scott Lang, and Cassie going into the quantum realm. I honestly think that is what should have happened.
Did you hear what I said?
What did you say?
I knew you didn't. The one thing that could have fixed this film, I went, was James Corden.
Was James Corden. I mean, that's 100% Rotten Tomatoes confirmed.
Exactly.
If that's the case. If that is the case. But I would have preferred to have more scenes with Cassie instead of Hank and Hope. Get rid of those two characters and save them until the end when we're all having a beautiful family barbecue with all the heist friends attending as well. That's my pitch, Marvel. Give me money.
Ooh. You'd have a lot of people angry with you about Wasp not being there, though. You'd have a lot of people. Crispy goes to war with Twitter by saying remove the Wasp. Crazy.
Yeah.
Can't believe you just said that. You're going to get cancelled for that now.
Sorry about it.
Crispy Pro, more like Cancel Pro. But yeah, speaking of, we've got to talk about Michelle Pfeiffer because she was brilliant.
One of the highlights of the film.
Yeah.
Most intriguing thing, they in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they set her up. She's been in the quantum realm for however long. I love seeing what she's been up to. What would life been like? She was there for 30 years? Did we say?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Was she there? This is what confuses me because I know obviously time works differently in the quantum realm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 5 hours for Scott was 5 years in the real world, whereas for Janet, was she in the quantum realm for as long as she was gone? Is that what they're trying to say? I don't know. I haven't got a blooming clue. But she was in there for a long ass time. All right, she's in there for a long bloody time, mate, as you would say. So, I like seeing a bit more of that. I think, if you'd have asked me to pick one character that I wouldn't have expected to have as good of a rapport with Kang, it would have been Janet Van Dyne. But those two together, Michelle Pfeiffer and Jonathan Majors, there was some real good stuff between those two. I loved that.
I think those are some of my favourite scenes and the most invested in the film I was. Because, you see her help this guy and then she realised, oh no, I'm the problem, it's me.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. But I honestly think that dynamic worked so well and you saw her in a conflict and then, she got the opportunity to leave the quantum realm, but she had this guilt behind her. That's a film. That was the interesting part of the film for me. I don't care about giant ants. That is cinema. But yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. And the performance was great. Absolutely.
Yeah, her performance was phenomenal. I do obviously buy into the thing that's a bit dapper. It's why didn't you tell us about this sooner? And it's yeah, of course she wants a bit of a break from it, but if there is something down there, maybe she should have said something. Maybe. And there is a bit of a question about that.
Maybe that's just where I related to her more. I would have been like, nah, stuff ya. See ya.
Yeah, no, because she probably presumed in her head that because she got rid of the core that he would never come back out. You know, and that's why she didn't say
Someone
anything, which is
else's
fair.
problem.
It's fair, yeah. But that's another thing. I love that the idea is that the only person who could have helped Kang there also was Scott. You know, using the pin particle tech to bring the ship core back. I love that idea as well. I think that's really cool.
That's great as well, and all happens within the first half.
Well, I would have said the
good
heist bit was after the first half, I would have thought.
No, we'll wait till it's on Disney Plus and we can align it and see exactly where the penny
The film's
dropped.
only 2 hours, bro. It wasn't like Wakanda Forever where an hour and a half in I was looking at my watch going, where's this going? I told you that. When Shuri was in that underwater scene with Namor going around the town, I literally looked at my watch and I was like, been going for a while and I'm not entirely sure where this is going anymore. Because I stand by it, and it's, as always, the Twitter brigade have gone nuts and gone, oh, this film was really good, now they're all bashing on it. But from the start, I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't think it was nearly as good as the first Black Panther. I loved the last section. Ironically, kind of like this, I loved the last section, but the first section I was like, But as an overall movie experience, I enjoyed Quantumania more than Wakanda Forever, which I know is going to annoy a lot of people. That's going to annoy
not the case
so
for me.
many people. But I just felt the first Wakanda Forever's first half took a while to get going. It took a while. I think the comedy was quite good in that. I love M'Baku, you bald-headed demon. I love that line.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I need to rewatch Quantumania and Wakanda Forever, in fairness. But just like coming out of the film, I have more overall to say about how good Quantumania was as opposed to Wakanda Forever. Because I came out with Wakanda Forever crying. I love that final scene with Chadwick's son, supposedly, you know, with Prince T'Challa and all that. Like, they hit the emotional aspects well. I just don't know how well I bought into everything else and the build-up to it. I don't know. I loved as soon as Shuri became Black Panther, I was hooked. I was loving it. Yeah. But I think it just took a while to get to that point, which I know is the point of the movie, but just... Which, by the way, did you hear about the original script for Wakanda Forever before Chadwick had passed away?
No.
I don't remember all of it, but the idea was that he would come back after 5 years, Nakia hadn't been dusted, and she would have moved on, had a kid with somebody else. And then Chadwick would have had to then, T'Challa would have then had to try and, step into, being, a stepfather kind of role with that kid and, working back with Nakia. And I was like, it's interesting, but I'm not even sure how much I would have vibed with that idea. It's a strange one. It's a strange one. It's weird how things work out. But, I mean, I'd take anything if it had brought Chadwick back, let me tell you.
Yeah, true. So, jeez Louise. Absolutely. Anyway, so that was our review of Wakanda Forever. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Because that's one thing we were talking about. We want to do a Phase 4 overall ranking.
Yes,
and we're going to do some way. We were thinking about possibly doing it live, a crispy suggestion. So that could be a fun thing.
That could be fun.
Yeah, that could be
a good shout.
Because I really want to rank it, and I will just straight up say be inspired by the Phase 0 podcast, where we do the list of our worst to best Phase 4 things and go up the list like that. I know What If it'd be at the bottom. Spoilers. What if it had a better place in the tier list? Spoilers, it doesn't.
Spoilers. No universe.
So, What If's the only thing that had something in it I don't like? Party Thor. Why does that exist? Get it away from me. Although we did get to see Captain Marvel being pretty powerful, so I'll take that. That's a win for me.
For sure,
my friend. For sure. But yeah, so it's interesting because you clearly have more issues with Quantumania than I do. Maybe upon rewatch, I might change my mind. Maybe I will.
Maybe upon rewatch, I might change my mind.
I think you will.
We don't know.
I think you're not being positive enough, and I think it's appalling, Crispy. I think it's appalling.
No. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 6.5. That's still passing with flying colours. But, I
don't know about flying colours. A nice pass, yeah, but flying colours for 65%.
Well, did you see how colourful that film was? Those are flying colours.
Film.
There's lots of flying colours in that film.
I really thought you swore for a second then, because I kind of spoke as you were saying flying colours, and I was like, there's a lot of colours. I was like, what? Just a lot of
bro. Colours in this.
I get it. I get you're passionate, but sheesh, you got to keep it family friendly, man. What? Good grief. But yeah, so I liked MODOK. Wonder if they could have done a bit more with him, but that's the problem of having Kang in your film. Set up Kang fantastically. I love the ending where it's all positive vibes, and he's like, but wait, what if? He said there's more Kangs. What if
that was fun?
Love
that was really good.
That was such a good energy to that. I love that there's a potential for an Ant-Man 4. The director said he likes the idea of a full trilogy.
Oh, really?
Maybe they'll do another one with Ant-Man. I don't know if they will in the end, but I
after
hope
this,
I
doubt it.
I want Ant-Man to come back in Kang Dynasty, and I want to have that dialogue of him being like, I've fought him before, blah 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 blah. Apparently, there's a rumor going around that Tom Holland's going to be the lead in Kang Dynasty. That's a rumor that's floating around at the minute.
Oh.
So his Spider-Man will be at the front of the Avengers or something. Which,
I'm
all for, if that's the case. I'm all for Tom Holland being at the front,
I don't know. I was kind of looking forward to him being more low-key and a street level.
No, we've got low-key. We don't need Tom Holland to be low-key as well. Which, speaking of, end credit scenes, Speaking of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
Ooh.
before I saw the film, I was spoiled that MODOK would die and that Kang and Loki were involved in the end credit scenes. So that was not epic.
Yeah, you said that to me. You're like, great.
Yeah.
Great.
So
I know this happens.
The surprise of Loki was not a surprise to me, but my mum was surprised, and that was nice, especially when Mobius showed up. She was like, oh, it's Mobius as well, like both of them. She's like, hey, and I was like, yay, it's great. So I'm glad I didn't know Mobius was in it, so that was also a nice little bit. But I kind of guessed, because I remember seeing them on the set of Loki, like in tuxedos, and they were filming in London by like a restaurant or a cinema or something. So seeing him there in the posh outfit and then seeing Mobius with him, I'm like, oh, so that's probably from, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But am I the only one who thought the mid-credit scene was a bit too much for me?
Yeah. I didn't like it.
The lead Kangs, apparently, like the Amun-Ra and stuff like that, are like big Kang characters, but just, I think less is more. I think I was more interested by Jonathan Majors and Loki saying, wait till you see my other variants, as opposed to just seeing a bunch of random Kangs appear out of nowhere in one big court.
Jumping around.
Setting that up as a threat. Because a lot of them were dead goofy. That kind of ruined the threat a little bit for me.
Yeah.
They'll get it back, I've no doubt they'll get the menacing threat back, but just that scene
just left a strange first impression.
Yeah.
It was more SNL sketch than threatening, in my opinion.
Pedro Pascal shows him and goes, let's go.
Yeah. Let's go.
It's a me.
But
yeah. So overall, I would give Quantumania about an 8 out of 10. There are a few things I think were a little bit weaker, and I don't feel like it had all of the elements of an Ant-Man film specifically, but I liked a lot of what they did with the film. I really liked the arc right the way through. I love Cassie with Scott. Just a bit more Wasp could have been nice, but I guess they've spent more time on Cassie and they didn't want to have to balance 2 female leads with Ant-Man, I guess, or something. I don't know what the logic was there, but I still really liked it for what it did, and I think the critics are being far too harsh, personally. Has your score at all changed from chatting to me, or are you still sticking with a 6.5?
No, I'm sticking to 6.5 I think it's just below a 7. I could almost argue a 6.75, but that is my final offer, Your Honour.
Okay. I think a 6.85 would be great, personally.
6.8
maybe
is
even
where
a
you're going.
6.9. 69%.
No. Naughty boy.
I just the number 69. What's wrong with 69?
Nothing.
Right, so why are you saying I'm naughty? Maybe you're being naughty, Crispy. Are you thinking of something rude?
I'm not being...
So thank you all very much for listening to special episode 4 of... Oh, right, okay, well, there goes the ending. He's just put a little bit of music in. He had to include the soundboard. He had to include it. Well, are you planning on watching again anytime soon, or are you just going to wait for it to come on Disney+?
No, I'll have to wait until it comes. I need to watch Knock at the Cabin. I got other things I need to watch, and Scream 6 is just around the corner. I'm very excited for that.
My mum is now very interested in that purely because Jenna Ortega's in it. Yep.
Yeah.
I have seen 2 more episodes of Wednesday, and I haven't seen the rest still. It's so difficult finding time for stuff, man. I'm making sure I'm there for The Last of Us, but everything else is a challenge.
Yeah.
It's funny, because my mum like, I might watch the episodes without you, and now I feel like there's an unspoken thing whenever I'm watching it, it needs to be with my mum, because she wants to watch the game with me, blah, blah, so we'll get there.
It's an unbreakable bond, mate.
It is unbreakable. It's, it's Joel and Ellie, except I'm not a dad, and she's not swearing every 2 minutes.
There it is.
Yeah, sure.
Good stuff.
And she also hasn't been bitten by a zombie or an infected person. Anyway, speaking of which, we'll see you all in special episode number 5 in about 3 weeks' time, maybe 4 weeks' time. 3, hang on. By the time this comes out, episode 6 will have come out.
3 weeks.
7, 8, 9. Well, that depends on if you watch it. Like, if we record it, we could record it right now in 3 weeks' time if you see it as soon as you come home.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
There we go. Well, the finale of Last of Us is only 40 minutes. So it'll be easier to work.
It's only, 40?
It's the shortest episode of the series, 41 minutes.
Funny they do that. All right.
But
that works in my
people who've played the game,
case.
I can kind of see how they fit that into 40 minutes, especially when you watch episode 6. They got through a lot of plot in that episode, I will say that much. A lot of plot. And it didn't feel like it was rushed. It was well done.
Oh, good.
So, in 3 weeks' time, we'll talk about The Last of Us as a full series. I'm very excited for that. I'm very excited.
See you then.
I'm very, very excited.
See you then. Our first non-Marvel review.
I know, crazy. But apart from that, thank you all very much. Well, hey, we could have done like Black Adam, but you didn't watch it when it came out,
No, I'm glad I didn't. But that's another story.
Oh, really? Black Adam was decent. It wasn't bad.
Oh.
I have the Steelbook right here, and I haven't watched it again yet, and I was planning to. I need to watch it, I need to watch it. Tell them the Man in Black said whatever the line was or something. Yeah, watch Wednesday first. But apart from that, we're going to go and record episode 49 of the podcast now. Or 48. Yep. 48. So, thank you very much for listening to special episode number 4, all 3 of you. And we'll...
Give it a like.
We will see you all... something. Indeed. We'll see you all with episode 48 in 4 days' time. Bye, everyone. We can't Alan Z. What do we say? Anton Z.
We say...
There we go.
Anton Z. Oh, my goodness. Watch out for the little guy.
Exactly. Look out for the little guy. And look out for the little goodbye. Bye.